This is Chapter 17 of Flotsam. Missing. Mr. Heckler awoke to the sound of his wolves howling as if the world was about to end. A brilliant flash of lightning lit up the walls in his room, and a deafening crash of thunder followed. But even through all that thunder, it was not enough to silence his wolves' mournful howls. Worried, Mr. Heckler peered into Amy's room to check on her. She was gone! The room was filled with a cold, damp wind that blew in from a scattered window. "Amy?" he called, glancing around the room. "Amy!" Papers from Mr. Burnham's lunchbox that Amy had been drying on a long string strung across the room had blown about the room. Mr. Heckler picked up one of the papers. He was surprised to see that it was a letter written in German. He hurried to pick up the rest of the scattered papers, quickly reading them. He glanced at Amy's dresser, where a good deal of the lost things Amy had found were placed in neat rows. He grabbed Mr. Burnham's lunchbox, examining it with great interest. My, but it is the very same one. Who would have ever guessed? He quickly shoved the photos and papers into the box. Taking the box with him, along with one of Amy's old shirts, he ran outside calling her name. There was no answer. He checked the place where Flotsam usually slept. The deer was also gone. He shook his head and gazed around him. His idea of keeping the girls safe on his farm had not worked. Mr. Heckler threw open the barn doors and called to his wolves. "Find her, boys!" he cried, pressing Amy's shirt to their noses so they could catch her scent. "Find her quick, before anything bad happens." Releasing the wolves, he grabbed an old gun and took off into the night behind the howling animals. The wolves paused in the middle of the road, sniffing the air, then ran down it to the main paved road. Mr. Heckler ran along after them, nearly colliding with an oncoming truck that suddenly pulled out in front of his wolves. "What the heck are you doing?" the man yelled from the truck, pulling to the side of the road. He squinted at Mr. Heckler and frowned. "Are you insane? It's the middle of the night. You're running around the center of the road with pack wild animals." "Lost my girl, Mr. Burnham," Mr. Heckler said, recognizing his neighbor. "Somebody broke in and took her." "Somebody broke into your house and kidnapped your girl? Why don't you call the police?" "I don't want no trouble, that's why. Plus, them police probably just think she has run off. Anyhow, they won't look for her unless she's been gone for a lot longer." "You're right," Mr. Burnham murmured, eyeing the lunchbox Mr. Heckler was carrying. "You all want to jump in and I'll give you a lift?" Mr. Heckler shook his head. "No, thank you. I'll stay here and look for her, if it's just the same to you." "Don't be foolish," Mr. Burnham interjected. "Bet if someone's got her, she's a lot farther away from here. Get in, and while you're at it, tell me why you got my lost lunchbox in your hands."